In today's video, we're going to be talking about Megatron from Transformers Animated. A few weeks ago, I uploaded a simple video showcasing why I wanted Animated's Megatron to return, and well, that video blew up pretty big. I was actually quite surprised how many people actually clicked on that video, but I think it just goes to show how kind of influential and kind of cool that animated Megatron was. You know, he was definitely a different kind of Megatron from what we're used to, a very Shakespearean character. Megatron in Transformers Animated was a bully, but an elegant bully. In this video, I'm going to be simply talking about why he stands out to me, the many things that stand out in Transformers Animated, and talking about why I hope to see this kind of incarnation reappear in future shows. Starting off from the battle of why I love this Megatron so much, I think it was just his presence, his overall kind of silence as well. Like when he does speak, he kind of commands respect as he enters the room, like demonstrated in the first opening of Transformers Animated, when the Decepticons are rambling on, dysfunctional group of Decepticons. As soon as their leader comes in, they quiet immediately. Even Starscream, who was bad-mouthing Megatron to Lugnut at the beginning, shuts up very quickly. And to be honest, I'm quite surprised that Megatron didn't terminate Starscream sooner, considering they've been out in space looking for the Allspark for 4 million stellar cycles. He managed to last at least that long. This video was actually going to be completely different. I was actually going to be talking about one singular thing, but Megatron's actually one of the many reasons why I don't believe in luck. Like this one line when Starscream plants the bomb on the back of Megatron as he's approaching the Autobot ship.
What do you want now, Starscream?
Only to wish you luck, my liege.
I do not believe in luck.
Just a crucial scene for me as a kid watching this back in 2007. Like, the fact that they've been together, they are part of a Decepticon team, the fact that Starscream just puts a bomb on his back, you know, just up to a point where the Allspark might be within their grasp, actually really kind of shook me as a kid and really, I think, cemented my trust issues pretty heavily. Or at the very least made me very cautious on who to trust in the future. Like, okay, anything can actually happen in this world. Even your closest friends, allies, whoever, could just stab you in the back. And I think Season 1 Megatron is very different a little bit from Seasons 2 and 3. Seasons 1 Megatron was a bit more alien-like until the Shakespearean aspect of Megatron started to weave in when it came to Seasons 2 and 3. With Season 1 Megatron, he is a very stern and quiet character, and when he speaks, you're paying attention. And even when he's in head form, he's managing to manipulate the system around him to kind of his plot to get his body back and become the tyrannical leader once again. Like, this Megatron is calm, collective, and scary. And one big aspect of Transformers Animated's entire series is the size of the Decepticons, and when we saw Megatron compared to Optimus Prime, like, oh my god, how do they even have a chance? And it kind of brings you back to the war, the Great War. Like, these giant Decepticons, how did the Autobots actually manage to defeat them? Well, two key things that actually defeated the Decepticons, drove them off Cybertron in the Great War, which was the Omega Sentinels and their space bridge technology. Something that the Decepticons obviously didn't understand, and still didn't understand throughout the show. And I think that's kind of like interesting how, yeah, the Autobots by themselves, it's pretty tough to take him on. You know, when it comes to Megatron, the only Autobot he ever actually feared was Ultra Magnus. The other Autobots were kind of just named as Autobot, which is why when he called Optimus Prime by his name, it was kind of a big impactful moment between those two characters. But yeah, when we see him, like, he doesn't really find the Autobots threatening at all. The only thing, obviously, that drove him off Cybertron in the first place was the space bridge technology and the Omega Sentinels that had the upper hand against the Decepticons. Something bigger than the Decepticons had to take down the Decepticons. And you can see it when he's versing the Autobots on the cruise ship. Like, damn, his size, you know. Megatron was pretty much defeated by his own shock and awe over the Allspark. And it just kind of makes you feel like if the Autobots knew what Optimus did to drove Megatron off the ship in order to save the Allspark, I'm pretty sure Optimus Prime would have become an elite guard member just because of that. Prior to Transformers Animated, there wasn't a Megatron incarnation like this. This was the first Megatron to really maintain a position of power. Like, there is no immediate backstabbing from other Decepticons besides from Starscream. Throughout the show, we see Decepticons follow Megatron in a loyal manner. And you actually start to realise how much courage Starscream had to even go up against him in the first place. Of course, this didn't end well for him. Prior to Earth, Megatron seemed to have always had his control. He may not be the most in-depth Megatron, but seeing him kind of lose control over the course of the show, thanks to the likes of Optimus Prime and his crew, seeing him actually kind of lose his mind over how this simple Autobot is actually foiling his plans. It was kind of funny to see him actually lose his cool with him, even calling him out by name, because he finally remembers this dude. Like, he is not going to forget the name Optimus Prime, which I think not any Autobot has done since Ultra Magnus. Which is why it was interesting to see how he kind of reacted when he thought he saw Ultra Magnus at first. Like, the main Autobot he was actually afraid of, because obviously Ultra Magnus was the leader of the Autobots when the Decepticons were thrown off Cybertron many stellar cycles ago. And it's actually kind of uncomfortable to see him nervous for once.
Ultra Magnus? Here? No, merely a cheap imitation.
And how he's so calm afterwards, like, oh, it's just that other Autobot. Oh, just blow him up. It's just so epic when he finally calls him Optimus Prime. I just can't get over that moment. It's a shame that Season 4 didn't happen, because we would have seen this Megatron, while in prison, still prove to be a formidable foe, and eventually have him break out of prison only to become a triple changer, being the Marauder Megatron. Now, I've always liked Megatron being a triple changer. I've always thought that was a cool concept. I think that's kind of like a good alt mode for him. And with this Megatron being as menacing as he is, I just would have loved to have seen that. So let's get on to the relationship between him and Starscream. One of the many things fans love this Megatron the most is not taking any of Starscream's nonsense. Immediately kills him when he is reformed. The epic moment he gets the Allspark key inside his head, he rebuilds his body, and his first act to take down the Autobots and to kill Starscream, the guy who put him there in the first place. This Megatron is not messing around. He isn't going to repeat history all over again. You know, Starscream is not going to constantly keep on backstabbing him repeatedly. You do it once, you're gone. And if it wasn't for the Allspark fragment, Starscream would have stayed dead. And I think that's just another great way to introduce to us this character, obviously a reformed character looking much like his Generation 1 counterpart, except sporting a giant helicopter now, while still maintaining actually the original canon effects from Generation 1, but just obviously with additional effects added as well. Don't know if anyone caught on to that. But this Megatron only takes loyal Decepticons. Unfortunately, those loyal Decepticons are the likes of Lugnut, which do eventually get on his nerves.
As you command, O grand and glorious Megatron, your genius exceeds all others, and I am but your humble and obedient servant. Furthermore, Jump-Wave!
Which is why it's funny that he has to kind of deal with Starscream to kind of use him temporarily at the end of Season 3. With Transformers Animated Starscream being very different from previous Starscreams as well. Like, this isn't a Starscream that kind of just wants to stick around. Like, he actually wants to be leader, like full-on egotistical Starscream. But with all that said, I really don't think this Megatron would have stand out equally as much if it wasn't for the voice talent of Corey Burton. He did something so different from previous type of Megatrons. But Corey Burton kind of gave us this Shakespearean vibe. Like, you hear his voice, and this is a cold-hearted machine, bent on a singular purpose to dominate and control everything, bringing order to the universe. Because this Megatron didn't really see himself as a bad guy, he would describe himself as, like, heroic. He's a freedom fighter, leading the Decepticons in a righteous struggle against the Autobot tyranny. He wants to return the Decepticons home back to Cybertron. And every time I watch an episode of Transformers Animated with Megatron in it, I can't help but follow the speech pattern like Corey Burton. It's one of the many reasons why I wanted to kind of get into the acting, voice acting sphere when I was a kid. It's performances like this that really stand out to me. Makes you want to kind of tap into that side of your brain, like, alright, how do I sound as a cold-hearted machine? And even though Megatron in Season 1 was quite different from Season 2 and 3 a little bit, I like how the Shakespearean Megatron kind of evolved even more. Like the way how he's manipulating the Constructicons to build him a space bridge. I mean, look how he turns that glass, for God's sake. Doesn't get more Shakespearean than that. And let's talk about the design of Megatron. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Megatron's pre-Earth form, as it very much resembles an early head design of a 2007 movie Megatron, which went unused in the actual movie. I think his Earth mode sports a lot better in keeping with the traditional kind of style of Megatron, but just kind of being a bit better and more improved and way 10 times bigger. Overall, I just think this Megatron will stand out to me forever in Transformers continuity. This is going to be the Megatron that I'd always like to see again, but I wish we got more of. I mean, he gave us one of the most iconic Decepticon lines.
Decepticons, transform and rise up.
Anyway guys, this has been the video of me praising Transformers Animated's Megatron. Share me what you think to this Megatron in the comment section below, even though I got a ton of comments already in the 30-second upload that I already had on YouTube. So many people putting their own kind of essays of how they feel about this character. And that's why I wanted to actually start doing animated content, was because of that video. So I praise you guys a lot for kind of giving me encouragement to make videos again, especially on a continuity that I really much enjoy. I hope to do more Transformers animated content in the future. I was going to start with this one to begin with, but I kind of really wanted to think of my words very carefully of how to really summarize how much this Megatron means to me. Anyway, for more, be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell to get all updates instantly. This has been Common and Cam, and until the next video, goodbye.